Hello everyone. Let's talk about something we use every single second of our lives. Just stop and think about it. The air you're breathing in right now, the water you had this morning, the very ground you're standing on, it's all connected. Everything we are and everything we do comes from the natural resources of our home planet. So today, we're going to explore the incredible systems that make it all possible.
Have you ever really wondered what makes Earth so special? Why is our planet buzzing with life while our neighbors like Mars and Venus seem so quiet? The answer isn't just one single thing. No, it's the incredible, almost magical interaction between our air, our water, and our land that sets the perfect stage for life to exist.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture of our living planet. Then we'll zoom in on its three fundamental building blocks: the air, the water, and the ground. We'll take a close look at each one. And then, this is the cool part, we'll see how these amazing recycling systems tie it all together.
All right, first things first. To really understand our natural resources, we need to get a handle on the huge system they're a part of. Scientists have a great name for this grand, interconnected web of life. They call it the biosphere.
So, the biosphere is basically Earth's life zone. But listen, the most important word on this entire slide is interact. Life doesn't just happen in the air or in the water. It happens where these things meet, where the ocean touches the sky, where the soil soaks up the rain. This constant give and take, this interaction, that's the real secret sauce for a living planet.
Now, inside this biosphere, everything can be pretty much sorted into two big teams. You've got the biotic components, which is all the living stuff, plants, animals, you, me, all the tiny microbes. And then you have the abiotic components, which is the non-living stage on which life performs, the air, the water, and the soil. And the main thing to remember is this: the living part absolutely depends on the non-living part. You just can't have the actors without the stage.
Okay, so let's break down that stage for life a little bit more. We're going to zoom right in on those three fundamental, abiotic building blocks of our world.
And here they are. First, the lithosphere. That's the solid ground beneath our feet, the very crust of the Earth. Then you have the hydrosphere. This is all the planet's water, and there's a lot of it. A whopping 75% of the Earth's surface is covered in water. And finally, the atmosphere. That's that vital, protective blanket of air that surrounds us all. Together, these three spheres are what make life possible.
Okay, let's start with the one we literally can't live without for more than a few minutes: the air we breathe. It's time to dive into the atmosphere.
So, what are we actually breathing in all day? Now, if I asked you, you'd probably say oxygen, right? Well, get this. The air is almost 80% nitrogen. The oxygen that's so important for us makes up just about 21%. And that tiny little 1% sliver of other gases, that contains some super important players, like carbon dioxide, which we'll come back to later.
This comparison, wow, it really shows you just how special our planet is. Our neighbors, Mars and Venus, are basically drowning in atmospheres made of almost pure carbon dioxide. You couldn't survive there for a second. Our unique, life-giving mix of nitrogen and oxygen isn't just some lucky accident. It's what allows all of us, all the complex life on this planet, to exist and thrive.
The atmosphere does way more than just give us air to breathe. It's our planet's personal thermostat. It really does act like a blanket, trapping just the right amount of heat so we don't cook during the day and freeze solid at night. If you want proof, just look at the moon. It has no atmosphere, and its temperature swings like crazy, from a blistering 110 degrees Celsius down to a ridiculously cold -190. Our atmosphere is our shield.
But here's the problem. We are disrupting this perfect system. Burning fossil fuels releases chemicals that mix with rain to create corrosive acid rain. Big factories pump out greenhouse gases, trapping too much heat and causing global warming. All that vehicle exhaust fills our cities with pollutants that cause terrible lung diseases. Even just burning garbage can release chemicals that eat away at our protective ozone layer. This isn't some far-off problem. It's a direct threat to our health right here, right now.
Okay, from the air, let's move on to the second vital resource, water. People often call it a wonder liquid, and believe me, it has earned that title. We're now exploring the hydrosphere.
So why is water such a big deal? Well, think of it like this. It's the ultimate medium for life. Inside every single one of your cells right now, all the chemical reactions of life are happening in water. It's the highway system that carries nutrients through your body. The amount of fresh water available in a place literally decides how much life can exist there. And beyond that, no water, no food, no water, no factories.
It's the one thing we simply cannot live without. And yet, what do? We contaminate this lifeline. Untreated sewage spreads terrible diseases like cholera and typhoid. Fertilizers from farms run into rivers and cause something called eutrophication. Basically, it creates these massive blooms of algae that suck all the oxygen out of the water, creating huge dead zones. Industrial waste leads to biomagnification, where poisons like mercury build up in the food chain. And of course, big oil spills can wipe out entire ecosystems in an instant. So we've covered air and water. Now, let's get our feet back on the ground and explore that third great resource, soil, the very foundation of all life on land.
What's just incredible about soil is how long it takes to make. We're not talking years here, we're talking centuries, even thousands of years. It can take up to 1,000 years to form a single inch of good topsoil. It starts with the sun heating up rocks until they crack. Then water gets in, freezes, and splits them apart. Wind blasts the surface, and tiny living things like lichens release chemicals that slowly turn solid rock into powder. It's this beautiful, patient process between the sun, water, wind, and life itself.
But here's the scary part. That precious topsoil, created over thousands of years, can be washed away in a single heavy rain. That's soil erosion, when wind and water carry it away. And it happens much faster when we cut down forests or farm the land badly. But here's the good news. We know how to stop it. Planting trees is a huge help. Their roots hold the soil together. Smart farming techniques like building terraces on hills can slow down the water and protect this incredibly valuable resource.
Okay, we've looked at air, water, and soil individually. Now let's zoom back out and see the really magical part, how they are all deeply connected through nature's brilliant and powerful recycling systems.
And this brings us to a really big idea, biogeochemical cycles. Now I know, it's a mouthful of a word, but the concept is actually pretty simple. Think of it like a massive library for the planet. The essential elements for life, water, carbon, nitrogen, are like the library books. They get checked out by living things, used for a while, and then returned to the non-living environment so someone else can check them out. Nothing is ever lost or wasted. It's the ultimate recycling program.
Let's start with one we all know, the water cycle. It's beautifully simple, right? The sun's heat acts like a giant engine, turning liquid water into vapor that rises up. High in the sky, this vapor cools down and forms clouds. And when the water droplets get heavy enough, we get rain or snow falling back down. This water then collects in rivers and lakes, flowing back to the source to start the whole amazing journey all over again.
Now, the nitrogen cycle is a little more complex, but it's totally fascinating. Here's the puzzle. Our atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, but plants and animals can't use it in that form. It's like being in a bakery full of flour, but not being able to make bread. So who are the heroes that solve this? Bacteria. These tiny microscopic organisms are the real MVPs. They fix the nitrogen from the air, turning it into a form that plants can use. It travels up the food chain, and then other bacteria return it to the soil and air. This entire essential cycle is run by the smallest life forms on Earth.
And this just shows the perfect balance of nature. The carbon and oxygen cycles are basically two sides of the same coin. You can't really talk about one without the other. It's like the entire planet is taking one giant, slow breath. On the inhale, plants breathe in our carbon dioxide and, using the magic of photosynthesis, they release oxygen. On the exhale, animals like us breathe in that oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. It's a perfect partnership.
So, as we've seen, our planet's life support system is this incredible web of interconnected cycles that has kept a perfect, delicate balance for millions and millions of years. But our modern world, our activities, are now disrupting that balance faster than ever before. Which brings us to the final and honestly, the most important question. This system gives us everything, the air, the water, the food, everything. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what are we going to give back to protect it?